My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours. We're a music podcast that chats to artists, musicians and creatives on their songwriting craft and upcoming projects. I'm your host Simon Fink and welcome to episode 283. We're lucky enough to be joined by legendary pop band Sparks today in support of their upcoming tour and appearance at Harvest Rock Festival. The band, made up of brothers Ron and Russell Mael, are usually credited with having helped shape the modern pop landscape and are often referred to as your favourite band's favourite band. Before we get into one of my favourite chats for this year, please make sure you subscribe to this podcast and ensure you're following us across all of our social media channels. We've got some surprise episodes this month with some incredible guests, so make sure you're following us to stay up to date. Details for all can be found within the show notes of today's episode. Our guest today is Sparks. The legendary pop pioneers are no stranger to the music industry, with brothers Russell and Ron Mael having formed the band back in 1966 while still studying at UCLA. Over their incredibly varied and successful 50-plus year history, they've made records that touch across all genres, with the brothers having tried their hand at new wave, art rock, big band swing, glam rock and synth pop. They've influenced artists such as Depeche Mode, Bjork, Joy Division, Beck and many more, with Jack Antonoff himself having been quoted on the record as saying, "All pop music is just rearranged Sparks. That's the truth." The band have seen a resurgence in their popularity after 2021's documentary by Edgar Wright, which was called The Sparks Brothers, which touches on their incredibly profound and prolific back catalogue and their influence on the pop culture landscape. In October, the brothers Mael are bringing Sparks back to Australia for the first time in 22 years for their own headline tour and an appearance at Adelaide's Harvest Rock Festival. In today's episode, we're speaking with Ron and Russell Mael about their previous tours to Australia and what to expect from these upcoming shows. We talk about their incredibly varied career and their start in music. We discuss the Spark Brothers documentary and how it's brought in a whole new legions of fans. And lastly, we talk about their newfound friendship with Australia's own Cate Blanchett. Tickets to their Australian tour are now on sale, as are tickets to Harvest Rock Festival, and both can be found within the links of today's show notes. We also want to say a massive thank you to Jerry at How Good Enterprises for her help with today's episode. Here is our conversation with Sparks.
Looks like it's a repeat. The girl is crying in her latte, yeah. The girl is crying in her latte, sad. The girl is crying in her latte, wow.
Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Ron and Russell Mael from Sparks. Gentlemen, hello. How are you going?
Okay.
All's well. Yeah, all's well. Thank you.
Recovering from a hurricane and an earthquake, but other than that, we're doing fine.
I did see that. It seems like everything is kind of happening all at once in Los Angeles at the moment. Firstly, you're both safe. You're both doing okay?
Oh, yeah. And the very next day, it was completely sunny and it looked as if nothing had ever happened. So it made it even weirder.
In the loveliest way, I feel that if anywhere is equipped with to deal with the weird and wonderful, it is Los Angeles. There seems to be a resilience there for everything that kind of happens. So I'm glad to hear that you're okay. It's a very exciting time at the moment. The Harvest Rock Festival was announced a few weeks ago and sideshows were announced this previous week for Sparks coming back to Australia. How are you feeling? We're very excited down here. What's it like on your end in terms of your Australian return?
No, we're really thrilled to be coming back. It's taken a while, but we think that actually the circumstances now surrounding our coming to Australia, it's going to be that much more exciting because so much has happened to Sparks since the 22 years plus that we have been missing from your country. So we're really excited. A lot of stuff, especially there's been a bunch of albums, obviously, that have come since that time, but also the documentary by Edgar Wright about Sparks has helped to bring about a new kind of awareness from people that just weren't that knowledgeable about Sparks, or maybe had known about Sparks but had kind of drifted off for a while for whatever reasons. But his documentary has really had a big impact on the perception of the band now, and also the movie musical that we wrote called Annette also brought in people from a different sphere that have seen what we can do musically, but not necessarily in the band context. So the combination of those two films plus the recent albums that we've had, it's really brought in new fans to the band, which we're obviously happy about. And so we're happy to see how that also translates to Australia.
Even in the reception that I've seen personally across social media, people that we speak to, there's a lot of excitement, and it does seem to be from a very diverse kind of crowd. As you just said, there are people that are coming in from so many different avenues now of how they've discovered Sparks or how they've come across your music. I do very quickly want to talk about Harvest Rock for a second, because it is a relatively new festival, only for the last few years, but they do a brilliant job of bringing a lot of great alternative acts. Obviously, yourselves are on the lineup. There's Beck, there's Nile Rodgers. Adelaide is, I don't believe you've ever toured Adelaide before, and that is where the festival is.
No, we haven't.
We're looking forward.
Are either of you, the only place that I can kind of equate Adelaide to, we're very well known, we're based in Adelaide, is that we are very well known for our wine. So we're like the Napa Valley, if you will, of Australia. So I don't know if that is a positive or a negative for yourselves. I don't know if Napa is if you're big wine guys.
No, we're not the biggest drinkers, but it sounds nice. Yeah. How is Adelaide for Lamingtons?
We do pretty well. I think we recently won a Best Bakery Award. Yes. So we'll make sure there are some Lamingtons when you do arrive here.
Okay, that sounds good. As long as there's Lamingtons to go with the wine, then we'll be fine.
It might be a very funny combination, but we'll have both on arrival for you, and we'll see how that goes.
Good. Sounds good.
As you just mentioned, it is a diverse kind of crowd that is now finding their way to Sparks. I want to say 40 to 50 years into the journey of the band. Are you seeing that in the live setting? Are you noticing when you're playing shows that there is a much more diverse crowd in the last 4 or 5 years?
We are, yeah. And it kind of is, through every country, every place that we play, we kind of notice that we're always pleased that we can retain fans from, decades ago, but just to have new people coming in and kind of, mingling with those people, and people also, the new people are kind of responding to the newer albums, which is exciting for us. We try to avoid nostalgia in general, and so to have people responding to what we've done recently and coming at it with a fresh set of ears is, it's really exciting for us. And so the audiences have been, really varied, and it's also one reason why we're really happy also to play the festival in Adelaide, because we enjoy playing festivals where there are people that maybe never even heard of the band and will get their first taste, and hopefully we can convert some proportion of the audience to our cause.
I have no doubt that is going to happen. I'm I'm betting money on that. There's going to be quite a few converted into the Sparks kind of fan club at that moment. You do also have a few shows locked in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, I believe. I think you just said before it was about 22 years since the previous Australian tour. I'll ask both of you separately. I might get Russell to go first. Do you have any memories from that previous tour many years ago?
Yeah, I mean, we really enjoyed playing there. The shows were smaller, the scale of it then, but both shows were really exciting for us because it was the very first trip to Australia. So, but I think now, like we mentioned a bit earlier, just coming back kind of under really different circumstances than that last trip to Australia, it makes it all the more fun for us, and the addition of playing Adelaide and Brisbane as well, which we didn't go to at the only previous trip we made to Australia. It makes it really exciting, and so we're really looking forward to this.
Lovely. Ron, what about yourself? Do you have any key memories from that last Australian tour?
Well, there were moments where it felt strange for someone from Los Angeles, where there were times when you would be walking along a beach area and you felt like you were in kind of a mirror image of where you would come from. And so those were strange. We play in so many kind of cold, desolate places, and so to come to a place where it really had some similarities as far as the just the some of the climate, even though we're 6 months at odds with each other, but also just beaches and just a kind of a body language of the people seems sometimes to reflect what that kind of hang loose kind of walking style that we thought we had perfected, but it actually is in abundance in Australia as well. So those are things that I remember, and we're just thrilled though this time around to be able to play venues that are larger, to be honest, and also to be playing in more cities. It's really exciting for us.
And for us also, I guess it's true internationally, the Sydney Opera House really represents something. It's such an iconic symbol of Australia, even though it's obviously in one city, Sydney, but it has such an iconic sort of representation for us of just Australia. So to actually be playing at the Sydney Opera House is a really, really significant thing for us. We've just played the Hollywood Bowl in LA, and that for us was such an iconic venue to play from our hometown. And then we also were able to play the Royal Albert Hall in London 2 nights there, and Glastonbury Festival. So this whole tour has been made up of a lot of really iconic venues, and so to be able to come now and also play the Sydney Opera House for us, it's kind of the one more notch on our iconic venues list that we can scratch off.
I know that there's a lot of excitement around the Opera House show. That I think that show is going to be incredible. Myself going to try and, as I said, we are in Adelaide, going to try and make it for the Sydney show as well. But I digress. As you just mentioned, you did recently play the Hollywood Bowl. I know that across the Edgar Wright documentary that you mentioned earlier, the Sparks Brothers, it is a fantastic film. We'll make sure that anyone who hasn't seen it, who's listening to this podcast, will put it in the show notes for them to access and purchase or watch. You talk about both of your times at UCLA and starting the band and wanting to play the Hollywood Bowl. Was that a bit of a pinch me moment? I guess, what was it everything that you expected? What was it like being able to finally play this venue after, I imagine, seeing various shows there yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, it is the most iconic venue and kind of symbolic venue in Los Angeles. And I had explained even when we were playing there on stage that when we first came on, I it told the story that our mom had taken us to see the Beatles there way back when. And so this point later in our career to be actually on the same stage that we saw the Beatles on in Los Angeles in their first go round, it was just really, a really significant step for us. And so, and it was everything it had been billed as. It was, an amazing place. And one of our last songs that we do in the show, there was 15,000 people waving their cell phone lights over the whole outdoor venue. So it was a really amazing way to end the show. And, it was really special.
Usually when you're playing live, you try to stay in the moment, but playing there was kind of odd because, I don't know, I found myself sometimes kind of stepping back and saying, I'm actually playing the Hollywood Bowl, and that doesn't happen often where you're kind of seeing yourself in actually performing. But it was so surreal and it almost seemed like, what am I doing here sort of situation. But the show went so beautifully and we couldn't have been more pleased.
I'm so very glad to hear that. And again, it makes me more excited for the tour that is coming down to Australia. The current tour is in support of the most recent Sparks record. It came out in May, I believe. It is called The Girl is Crying in Her Latte. And I just want to say congratulations because it is another brilliant addition to the Sparks catalogue. So firstly, congrats on this record.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Of course. I'm very curious because as we've discussed with such a long and tenured kind of career, it is the 26th record from the band?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do either of you still get nervous or concerned when it comes to putting new music out or when you're releasing a record?
This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? It's hard to make time for the things that keep you healthy. But being consistent with self-care is like working a muscle. And when life gets crazy, that muscle keeps you strong. Therapy is the ultimate self-care. And BetterHelp makes it easy to get started with affordable online sessions you can do from anywhere. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off your first month.
Well, I mean, I think it's more now just excited with the anticipation of having something new, knowing also that the audience has evolved along with Sparks evolving. And so I think that that's what makes it extra exciting that, when we really try to do something that's, if somebody is picking up on Sparks for the very first time with the new album, that hopefully we've created something that's really special and striking and doesn't sound like it's coming from a band with a 26 album long history to them, that it sounds really contemporary. And I think people come away from our live shows with that same sort of feeling that we kind of intermingle songs from different eras. We do quite a few songs from the new album, from The Girl's Crying in Her Latte, but we also do songs from different periods of the career now. And so I think that sort of the ability to do that, where songs don't necessarily sound like they're of another era. I think happily the songs that are early songs of ours and ones that are from the middle of our career and the current songs, the latest songs, they all sort of sound like they're of a piece. And so we're really happy with that it doesn't sound like, oh, now we're going to do some old songs, and it all sounds like it's of a piece, I think, and I think that's something that we're proud of.
We're really also happy just because we have a band. We've had the band for several tours now, and they're able to play the songs true to the originals of whatever the time was, but also really not like in a session kind of way, like really like a band. And that's a tricky thing, to find people that play incredibly well, but that don't play in a sterile kind of way. And so they really bring the old songs to life, and they fit on the new ones. So that's, kind of natural for them. So the live shows are, we really feel comfortable. You're never 100% comfortable, but just we feel more comfortable than we ever have as far as the presentation of our live shows. And, as far as releasing an album, we make sure that, there's no predicting how other people will respond to it. But from our standpoint, we don't release anything unless we feel confident that it's something that we think is special, and we hope that other people can see it in that way as well.
100%. I think that it's something that both of you have kind of touched on is the fact that the songwriting throughout this new record seems to be timeless, in the sense of that you could not place it in a genre or in a I don't want to say trend, but that it's not just like that was the emo stage of the 2000s, whatever. It was some timeless songwriting. I think if I may be a little bit selfish, I wanted to raise my favorite track on the record and just see if I could get a little bit of behind the scenes. Yeah. I really loved You Were Meant for Me. I thought the songwriting on that track was brilliant, and the fact that it was almost like not traditional songwriting in the verse, but that then the chorus kind of takes on a bit of a left veer. So anytime you not get comfortable, but it almost subverts where you think the song is going, which I love as well. I was wondering if, I might be able to just get a bit of what inspired that track, or the behind the scenes of the creation.
Well, the writing is kind of done so spontaneously that it wasn't like kind of setting out. It never seems like it's setting out to do something. So it kind of came together pretty quick. But the chorus part, kind of, it's like we enjoy doing the thing of pulling the rug out from under somebody, getting comfortable within the song, either in a musical way or else lyrically, where it's words that you wouldn't necessarily hear, or, people's names proper names within a song that you wouldn't necessarily, hear in other people's songs. So we like that kind of jarring effect of kind of the juxtaposition of different things. And, we have nothing against kind of traditional songwriting. It isn't like that we are trying to do things that are weird. It's just that it always has been the case that whatever we've come up with, we love pop music, and that entails a certain amount of formula to it, but we like kind of playing with the formula of pop music in interesting ways, and just to know that you can still kind of play with that form, but still remain consistent to a 3 and 4 minute song is something that, it's fascinating.
100%. I absolutely love that song. So thank you very much for indulging me on that.
Yeah.
Have you found that the songwriting has changed within the band over the last 40, 50 years? Is it kind of still a similar process between the two of you, or does that evolve with each record that's released?
Well, one thing that's happened, which we think is a good thing, is just the evolution of kind of how we record. That at the start of our career, obviously you had to go into large professional studios in order to make a record. There were no home studios at the time. And obviously with time, the technology became available where you can record on your own home and do things. And I think for us, that's become a really big asset, where we can record in a traditional way, where Ron will maybe write a song before coming into the studio that we have in my place, or we can come up with instrumental things that we don't even know where they're headed, but just try stuff and then see if you can shape that into a song in some sort of way. So it's allowed the songwriting to be done in different ways that when we first started, you really couldn't record in that work in that sort of way, because there were limitations. You had to come up with something because the clock is ticking off in the studio and you're spending tons of money. But now you can kind of record in these different ways, either from a song that's sort of pre-written, or just say, we don't have anything, let's just start playing and see what happens. And then, and so it's only a positive thing from our standpoint that technology has kind of made it possible to work in different ways even in the songwriting process.
100%. Well, I think from the band that brought us Computer Girl, you've been manifesting that from the start, I almost feel.
Yeah, we were ahead of our time in
exactly
foreseeing that things would change eventually.
I feel like it might be a bit of a silly question, but obviously with the documentary, and as we've said, that the exposure of Sparks has gotten much larger in the last number of years, have you found more artists reaching out to either of you to collaborate, to not duet, but to kind of write together or have some kind of feature?
Well, we did the one project, obviously, with Franz Ferdinand several years ago, FFS. So there was kind of both bands had really liked each other, and we just had talked about it. Wouldn't it be interesting if we pooled our resources and just to see what would come of that creatively, and so but it's that whole process is a big commitment by both bands, because especially when bands are really do their own thing so specifically, so it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of focus to do that. So we did it that time with them, and we've done various one-off projects with various artists, just one song or two songs with different artists throughout our career. But we haven't done anything in the last couple of years. I don't think with other artists. But it doesn't mean we won't. If the right situation is there. Yeah.
100%. Well, I know that there's one collaboration that has kind of occurred, might not have been a musical artist, but there was a collaboration on the music video for The Girl Is Crying in Her Latte with fellow Australian Cate Blanchett. I feel that a number of people have seen the incredibly viral video, and the fact, I think, that you brought her out at Glastonbury recently.
It's good.
Yeah. Cate is one of the wonders of the world. Yeah, we were so happy to have met her under really strange circumstances. We were at the in France at the César Awards, where our film Annette was nominated for a lot of awards, and we won for Best Music for that film. And Cate was also at the Césars in Paris. It was 2 years ago, and she was there to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. And then she had come knocking on our dressing room door. We also performed one of the songs from Annette at that, so we had this little dressing room that we were preparing and before the show, and she knocked on our door and introduced herself, and we said, "Oh my God, it's Cate Blanchett. What is she doing in our dressing room? Somebody throw her out!" And she said she had been a big fan of Sparks for a long time, since she was growing up in Australia, and so we kept in touch, and then we needed to do a video for the first song for the girls crying in her latte, for that song from that same the title track of the album. And so we thought we would give Cate a shout out and see if she would be interested, because we didn't have a real specific idea of what we wanted to do for the video. We thought Cate will certainly bail us out of us having a lack of ideas for what we wanted to do. And so we played her the song, and she said she loved it. And then she came to LA and just said, do whatever you want. We'll stand behind you. You be in the foreground and do your thing. So she came with that, equipped with that whole persona that she has in the video, and doing her little, her really amazing dance routine whenever the chorus kicked into that song. And so, yeah, she's been great. And then we asked her, just, she was in England at the time. We said, hey, we're doing Glastonbury Festival. And she says, oh my God, I'm going to Glastonbury this year. She was going just as a music fan to go to the festival, to attend it. And we said, oh, then by all means, you have to come on stage then with us if you're going to be there anyway. So she took the challenge, and she was amazing during the show.
It required quite a bit of cosplay from some of the girls in the audience that come equipped with the yellow dress and the headphones and the glasses, and dance like her during that song in particular.
I did see there was a few yellow suits, yellow dresses, the red headphones. Look, we might not have Cate Blanchett at the Harvest Rock Festival. Are you taking auditions for anyone? If I manage to find myself a yellow suit, can we maybe have a discussion? Yeah.
Well, you're halfway there. You're Australian, so you managed to
True.
do that. How many Academy Awards have you won, though?
Look, I'll admit she's ahead of me in that race, but the race is not over. So we'll.
Yeah.
Between now and the time we show up there, if you can prove that you've won an Academy Award, then we'll consider you to come on stage with us.
That is I will keep you updated on how that goes, and I'll have an interesting month or so. Gentlemen, usually we would ask, I guess, what they're currently listening to wrap things up. I'll start with you, Ron. Is there anything at the moment that you're listening to at the moment that's kind of caught your fancy?
Well, I as much as I love pop music, I try to listen to things from other genres when I'm not recording. I like jazz, in particular Miles Davis things, and I go back to that, just to kind of listen to things that I can't do. And so I like listening to that sort of modal jazz where it's not something that I could ever kind of come close to. Or I like listening to, 12-tone music, like Schoenberg or something like that, where it's still mysterious to me as far as how it's made. So, I grew up on pop music, and that's my passion. But when I'm not kind of doing that, other than kind of listening to things to see popular things to see if it fits in sonically with what we're doing, as far as like some general musical inspiration, I kind of turn to other fields.
No, that's very, very fair. Russell, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the opposite extreme to that. I don't know. I like listening to some K-pop stuff just because it's it's working in a different kind of way than just being a traditional band. And it's not that I like all of it a lot, but like BTS is, there's something there that's approaching pop music in a different way, and that the dance, the whole imposing dancing as being such a strong element of it. It's a different way of looking at pop music, and and so I think at its best, there's some moments that are exciting from them.
100%. Two very kind of different picks, but I'm weirdly not surprised in terms of the music that I thought Sparks would pick. It is something that subverts expectations once again. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing that with me. And thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. We're very excited to see you in Australia in a month's time. But yes, thank you again for your time.
No, pleasure.
Thank you. Good talking with you. Take care. We look forward to seeing everybody there.
The most powerful designer drugs are the digital ones we use daily. And we get high off them. One touch, tap, like, scroll at a time. You know, just like tech creators want us to. Use digital without digital using you. Learn more at sync.ithra.com.